I think, believe it or not, because I'm one of those people that usually have two and three jobs because I want security.
Yeah.
And I think that was the mental thing was the worst. Because I had to give all that up, that security of having, work right down the street, all of that stuff. So yeah, it was mental. And it really took a lot of self growth and just meditating and praying and it really took a lot of faith. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful.
So I am so intrigued. You're doing this on your own,
Yeah,
solo.
I'm inside my I have a cabin that I built, and then I have an outside kitchen. See, this is my outside kitchen, my solar and everything.
Wow.
So this is it's like a shed, and this is the shed that I have the best service. So I come in and sit on my freezer and then use my phone for certain things and stuff because my everywhere else is bad service. So
I'm sure. I'm sure.
yeah.
Because where are you? Are you in the middle of nowhere?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, if you can see, I don't know if you can see back out around, but yeah, absolutely. It's okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's 360. Yeah. Yeah, I have 10 acres. Oh,
That is beautiful.
all by myself. Well, except
I
for
am,
my two dogs. So,
I hope you're proud of yourself
yeah.
because this is something that most people only dream of and will never do.
Oh yeah. It's a lot. But it's taken me years and years to figure this out. It's taken me, I think, 5 years before I could come out here because I had to downsize and I sold my home and then it was just, I think, believe it or not, because I'm one of those people that usually have two and three jobs because I want security.
Yeah.
And I think that was the mental thing was the worst. Because I had to give all that up, that security of having, work right down the street, all of that stuff. So yeah, it was mental. And it really took a lot of self growth and just meditating and praying and it really took a lot of faith to do it. Yeah.
Well, more than faith, you had to actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
if I didn't think I had the backup, if I didn't think that I had somebody else in my corner, um, no, I wouldn't be able to do it.
So run us through how you did it. Because like for me, my dream would be to live off grid, but I'm too
Yeah.
scared because I'm like
See?
you. I want security. I want
Yes.
security, not just
Yes.
financial, but also physical safety, like on your own
There's none of that. Yeah. Yeah.
in the middle of
Well,
nowhere. What if you get
yeah.
sick? What if your car breaks down or you don't have internet reception? Okay,
Yeah.
so
I did
let's
all
just
of
go
it.
start. How did you
All
get the
right.
idea? Where did it start?
All right. I think I've always been extremely nomadic. My mom used to still uses an address book. Okay, so she writes down everybody's address and puts it in the address book. And with me, she always she stopped using pen and started using pencil so she could
No.
erase it because I moved so much. So yeah, that was the first thing. It's like that's it. I'm not using pen for your address anymore. And she was all like frustrated because I'm very adventurous. I've lived all over the place. I've lived Hawaii. I've lived out past all New England, all over the place. I've lived all over the place. And she said that's it. That's it. So I think in every single time I've gone camping, I've liked hiking, I've gone overnights in the woods, and the happiest that I've always been is when I was alone, like in the wilderness. Like, you know how most people go camping and they pick a site that has electricity, water, all that stuff. I never did that. I always took wilderness sites. So there wasn't water, so there wasn't electricity. And I don't know if it was the feedback or what. I always felt better when I was alone and I was at peace, with no utilities, no nothing. And I think that's what started it. And then I ended up, when I moved to New Hampshire, I was in Florida for years and years and years, like 20 years, New Hampshire, 20 years. Bought homes, sold homes, it's all over the place, everywhere. And then when I finally got to New Hampshire, um, I think when COVID hit, that was it for me. That something snapped, and I went, I am not being controlled. I'm not going through this again. It was scary. I lost both my jobs, and with me with security and stuff, I was freaking out because I was up in New Hampshire by myself. I bought a double wide mobile home that had like half of the roof gone, so I ended up fixing it and all of that stuff and everything, and buying the mobile really cheap, and ended up reselling it, all that stuff. But when I was there, COVID hit while I was in that camper fixing that camper out. And like I said, I lost 2 jobs and all of that stuff, and it freaked me out. And I said, that's it. And then that year prior, my daughter and I went and hiked Grand Canyon together a week. It was just over a week, I think. And I fell in love with Arizona. It was just wild, and just the rocks and the history. I've always been a rock hound anyway, so it was just all of it. It was, I don't know what it was. Something was calling me, and I've always lived by the ocean too, so it was really weird that the whole desert thing, don't know how that happened. So then after COVID hit and I recovered and all this, I started looking for land. So I said, if this ever happens again, I am out of here. I'm not doing this. I don't want to be around people. I'm not doing this. I mean, this is insane. And so I ended up buying land online in Arizona, unseen, everything under a land contract. Didn't even see it, nothing. It just went, yep, this was it. It felt right. I just did it. And then I bought, it was 2 lots, three acre lots. So it was just about 6 or so. And then I bought more since then. And so I started planting in New Hampshire. I built a van and built it out so it had a Murphy bed in the back. So when I was traveling, I was cleaning houses at the time for Vacasa, and they were paying really well. So I was the only one that was willing to drive hours and hours away and do cleans and that kind of thing, and do that because I just stayed in my van. So I had my dog, and we just would go for, hours away and do, a bunch of cleans, but we would live in the back of the van while we were doing it. And I would park somewhere that I didn't think I was going to get arrested. So wherever, at night or whatever, and then come back and then do that. So we did like that 3 or 4 days in a row, and then we'd come home. And then when they wanted us to do it again, we would go out. And I loved it. So I looked into van life, into living in back of vans and building vans out and like that kind of thing. So I did mine for a little while. But then my mom's husband started to have, he always had heart problems, but he started to have really bad heart problems again. So he was going in for a major surgery coming up in the next few months, that kind of thing. And I was scared. My dad passed when I was younger. It's probably been about 20 years now. He died of lung cancer. So I didn't want my mom to be alone. And if he went, then my mom was going to be alone. She was in Florida. So I said, that's it. I sold my home in New Hampshire, all that stuff, and moved back to Florida so I could be close to her, just in case something happened, if he's going to continue to be sick, all of these things. Because anything happens anyways, I'm going to take care of my mom. So that's my plan is, my land is good, all that stuff. If my mom needs me, that's it. I'm going to go stay with my mom and take care of her until, whatever. I'm not giving that up. So that was the plan all along. So I sold my home in New Hampshire and then bought a camper and then ended up in a campground right up the street from her. I didn't want to have I didn't want to buy another home because I knew I was going to be going off grid at some point. I knew if anything happened, I would be living with her and taking care of her. So I didn't want all of those other things I wanted to get rid of it. So if she needed me, I was going to be there. I was right up the street. He ended up pulling through the operation. Everything is fine. Everything's hunky-dory. I'm like, oh, great. And then they stay in Florida half the year, and then they go to New Hampshire half the year, which makes sense because he's got family and stuff there. So because it's too hot for them in Florida. So they go, and they're up there in New Hampshire now. So I'm down being with her and stuff, and they decide, well, they're still going to New Hampshire. And I'm like, what in the blazes of holy cock? I'm like, what? So they left for 6 months still. And I'm like, fine. Okay, I'm going to my land. Fine. Because I said, if you guys are doing well, they're healthy, they're doing great. So I said, well, since I'm healthy and I can do this, because my plan, I already paid for half of the kit It was a post and beam 10 by 16 shed, basically, that I found. I looked all over the place. Now this is like going on the second year now since I started paying for my land. So I'm going on 2 years now when I moved to Florida, because it was going to take a while to be able to do this. I mean, I didn't know what I had no clue what I was doing. So I ended up buying a kit and paying half of it. I figured I'd pay the other half once I got to my property and all of that stuff. So it's been 2 years from that. So I was paying off for 2 years. So then that second year, going into that third year, when they left and everything, I said, I'm just gonna go. So I sold my camper that was there, and I bought a pop-up camper. You know those little pop-ups, those little tent campers, yeah. Those little tiny things. And I found a job in California, which was like 4 hours from my property. So it was like a work camp, and I'm a cook, and just an artist and everything there. But it's easier for me to find a cook job. So I found this job, and they wanted me to hire me as a work camper. So I said, here's my opportunity. I said, I'm going to go out there, and they wanted me out there for the summer. And then once I was out there, it was like October, November, something like that. Yeah, it's like 6 months. Yeah, for 6 months. And I was going to go out there and work, and there was my security. I already had a job. I could go there, and it wasn't full time. So though my days off, I had 3 days off a week. So I could travel from there. It was like 3 hours from there to my property, and then I could work on my property and still have security. So I traveled all the way out with my truck, with my pop-up camper on the back, all the way from Florida out to my property. And I fell in love. I says, I set up my tent. I didn't even set up my pop-up camper. I just set up my tent on my property. And there was a couple other people that were in the area that were also off-gridding. They have since have left and built somewhere else. But we're all standing there talking, and they're like, well, how are you doing? How do you like it? I said, this is beyond my expectation. This is amazing. And as I was talking to them, this big rainbow came right up over the mountains, like right there. And she's like, well, I guess you made your decision. There's your sign.
That just gave me goosebumps.
There's your sign. As I was talking to them about, I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave now. And the rainbow came just as I said that. And I says, okay. And the next day I called the woman in California. I said, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be there in like 4 days or whatever. I said, I can't do it. I said, I need to stay on my property. And I stayed. I set up my camper. And that started the journey of just, wow, just nuts. So I got out here in October 2 years ago now. And then I had my cabin built enough that I could move into it 3 days before Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't even have a door. My door wasn't even up yet. Nothing. All I did was had a shell and that kind of thing. I moved in and had Christmas with my dogs, and I bought a puppy at the time to keep my other dog company. It was adorable. So we set up a little tree and had presents and everything, and did Christmas inside of the building and everything. So, and then ever since that, I've been working on it, and then I insulated it and all of that stuff. So it's just been just one thing after another. And then water. So the first thing when you're off grid, you have to figure out water. You have to figure out either heat and cooling. Yeah, that's basically the necessities. So that's the first thing I did. I had a little little buddy heater, you know, those little space buddy heaters, those small ones that run by propane, and I had it just going through the window and stuff at my pop-up camper, and that kept us warm because it was December and it was in the winter. We were out here in a pop-up camper, so it was cold. And then I just transferred the buddy heater to the cabin, and it kept the thing warm all winter. Absolutely no problem. And then I had to worry about summer. Yeah, summer was scary, and I was just traveling back and forth because I found a job and stuff too, thanks God. And just had gallons of water, just using that for bathing and all of that stuff. No showers, no nothing. Just washing up and that kind of thing, and it was just crazy. So it's progressed for them. Now I have an outside shower. And then I have a big tank of water but I have to haul water. Nobody will bring water in here because it's too far. So I'm hauling water and then propane for cooking and that kind of thing. And then there's a swamp cooler that we use because it's so dry out here. So you can use swamp coolers for cooling. and all it does is circulate the water that's in it, and then a fan blows over it through a grid, and while the fan's blowing over that water, it just cools it, and then and that's it, and that's what I used all last summer. So this is my second summer, so I know I'm not going to die.
So what are the hazards of doing that, of where you stay? I mean, besides potential people, are there like snakes?
It's so far. I am from town. I'm in Golden Valley, so I am 9 miles out of town. But it's 9 miles of bad roads. It's like all like washes, and it's just, yeah, it's really bad road. So it's just having your vehicle to be able to go back and forth through there. And I bought another vehicle, so I'd have two, because you can't count on that. You can't count on just one vehicle, and I need to be able to get to work every day. And I am the only one that's out here that is traveling back and forth to work every day. So that requires a vehicle, and the roads just beat it to heck.
So what do you do at night? Like, I presume the stars are magnificent from where you are.
They are, but there's a lot of coyotes, so I don't usually stay out and do that.
Okay.
It's also rattlesnake season. So as soon as it gets warm, yeah, I don't do that either, because the dogs and stuff too. Yeah, no, I watch movies, and I download movies while I'm in town and when I have service, and then I just watch them when I'm out here.
So, and you're by yourself the most of the time? All the time?
All the time. All the time.
Then how is
Except
that?
for my dog. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely heaven. It's just so, and there's no noises out here. There's no, you don't hear sirens. You don't hear traffic. We hardly ever have any planes going over. So it's totally peaceful. It's so funny. I tell this to people. My ears rang for like 2 weeks when I first moved out here because of the lack of noise.
Yeah.
So when you come out here and you're used to the city, you're used to just normal noises, your ears don't know what to do when there's no noise. So they just went, that sound for like the longest time. And then from then it went to like a whooshing sound, almost like when you put like a shell up to your ear, like that ocean sound. And then my ears were okay after that. But it took 2 weeks to adjust to having no noise, because you just step outside and you're quiet. Nothing. You hear nothing. Yeah.
So would you say it's just a matter of doing it rather than thinking it, or is it better to plan?
No, planning. I planned for weeks. What are you barking at? There's nothing out of you, fruitcake. Come here. Where's Max? Why are you barking? Good Lord, oh Moses. That's my youngest. He's a nut. He's also he alerts me of snakes and stuff too, so we got to be careful. Yeah. It took 5 years. So I was on YouTube looking at every single off-grid videos, other people that are doing it. I didn't know what I was going to build. I was going to do like a sandbag home. I didn't even know what I was going to do for a building. I mean, I had no clue. I did come out before I moved out here. I came out for 10 days, and I stayed at an Airbnb in town, and it was off-grid. Of course, that's what I do all the time anyways. And it was a shed. I didn't know that until I came out here. But when I showed up at the place, it was just like a 15 by 15 shed with bunk beds in the back. And there was nothing in it but like a little thing full of water that you do the thing, and the water tank goes in top, and then it just comes out for water. And that was it. And I stayed there for 10 days, went out for a couple of days and camped on my property, and then came back. And I said, this is what I'm doing. This is it. It's going to be a shed like this, small. I think comparable. I think it was within my budget. So I had to like figure that out. So I found a place in Vermont that's called Jamaican Cottage Shop. I used to have dreadlocks before I went off grid that were all the way down to my butt. But I cut my hair off and everything before I went off grid because of those saving water and everything. So I had dreadlocks for 25 years. And so it was part of my spirituality. It was just part of everything. So that was another, you have to give up a lot to do this. As we talk, it'll be crazy. So, so Jamaican cottage shop made sense to me. Okay. And then I went on their website and was looking and everything. So I ended up doing that, and they let me pay half. And it was like 6,000, I think, for the kit. And it was post and beam, just heavy and everything. Because I investigated every single place in this area for a shed. They were all built like crap, and they wouldn't deliver out here. They wouldn't give me a discount for me building it myself. It was just, I would have paid just as much for a crappy shed. But at least I got to go into the sheds and got to look at the size while I was investigating in town and all of that stuff. And they would do financing and all that stuff. But by the time the financing was all that stuff, then I would have paid just as much for the one that I had that was solid. It was post and beam. It's just, the quality was just 120,000 more percent better. And then I got the kit that didn't have any insulation because I wanted to do that as I could afford it. I didn't get windows or anything because I figured I could do that when I afforded it, and I'll just cut the holes and then put the windows in after. So it took a lot of planning, a lot. So it was like 5 years of planning, of figure it out, and you still don't know what you're doing. You could do planning forever, and you come out here and actually do it. What I suggest, that's why I like to monitor, like just help other people, because if you could go out and actually stay off grid someplace, for 10 days, a week, a couple weeks, then you'll know. And then kind of get an idea if it's for you or not, because all these people now, it's a fad thing. And people are like, oh, I'm going to go live off grid. Okay. And then they do it and they're like, oh, no, I'm not, no, I'm not doing this ever again. Yeah. So they hate it. And it was just something that resonated for me, and I absolutely loved it right off the bat. But I mean, that's just my personality and stuff too, and what I like to do anyways. Is it difficult? Yeah. Is there sometimes that you're just exhausted and you're just hauling water and you're just like, you're working full time and everything's just like, oh my God. And then one little thing happens, you get a flat tire or something, that's it. Everything gets thrown into your works, and you can't just come home and relax. You have all kinds of things to do. You have to get ready for tomorrow. You have laundry to do. See, I do all my laundry by hand too. So I have a 5-gallon bucket, and I can wash 2 pairs of pants, 5 shirts, and probably 4 pairs of socks or stuff in one bucket. And then I hang them out, and I do laundry by hand. So,
wow. So did you build that whole shed yourself? No help?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
Yeah, I'll show you pictures and stuff and everything of it too. Yeah, it came as a kit, thank goodness, and it was an exploded version. But wow, that was hard. I had a little bit of help with those big beams and stuff. There was a couple of off-grid people that helped me with put up the big beams and that kind of thing. But then after that, yeah, I just did everything myself.
So how long did that take you?
I was out in October, and I had it done 3 days before Christmas.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's quick.
Yeah, and that was work.
Especially for yourself.
Yes. Well, it's only 10 by 16. So, I mean, it's not like this big giant
but
thing,
how many people could build a house in 2 months?
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of had to. It was cold. And that was my goal. I set that goal to be in for Christmas. I wanted to enjoy Christmas and celebrate it, because it was, it's special for me. In there with the dogs and stuff, and just really, just to have 4 walls after being because the wind out here is brutal. There's nothing to stop it. We have no trees. It's basically all junipers. So in the pop-up camper I had to tie the pop-up camper down to the ground and then tie it to my truck when it was really windy, because I was afraid it was going to fall over. So for me to get into 4 solid walls was just, it was like everything. It was so great, because you're just, the wind would blow and it would be like you didn't feel anything rocking or anything. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever.
So,
but it's been a little.
Are you able to plant vegetables or anything like that there, or is it just not arid?
Yeah, I bought. Yeah, no, I haven't tried yet. I'm going to. I'm composting. Because I'm vegan, so I'm using all of my waste and everything, because I'm going to compost until here comes the 5-gallon bucket again. I go to the bathroom in a 5-gallon bucket, and then do shavings on top of that, and then just build it from there. And then I have pallets out here, and I yeah, I used just shavings and stuff, and then and I put composting in a pallet. So I filled up a whole 4 pallet. And then I have that composting since the beginning, and then I started another one. So that one I'll be able to use. It has to sit for a year and compost for a year before I can use it for for vegetables in a garden. I've just been so busy. I was really hoping that I could get a garden going this summer, but I'm working on my building. I just put my first window in just this past weekend, so I was very excited about that. So now I'm finishing my siding and doing all my trim and all of that stuff. So it's finally, and that's my goal is right now is just finish my building this summer.
Wow. So would it be possible for you to stop working outside altogether and just live like that, or is that not a thing
Yes,
yet?
that's my goal. Yeah, that's my goal was anyways, is a student, because I'm still doing land payments. So I have 2 more years of land payments.
Yeah.
And then I'll be free and clear, and then I can live off that. But I just bought land in Hawaii, so so now I have more.
You're going to
I
build a
know.
shed there too.
Yeah, so now I have more. I have more land payments because well, I want to be able to retire, I think, in Hawaii, or at least go back and forth, because I'm an ocean person. I've always lived by the ocean, and I lived in Hawaii for a year when I was with my ex, and I want to go back because I absolutely loved Hawaii, and I liked the Big Island, and it was just very spiritual to me, and I cried like every other day. It was just such a beautiful place, and so I want to be able to go back there. So I bought land there so I could secure a place to go back and forth. And then Arizona to Hawaii is really pretty close. The flights are only like $400 from there to Hawaii.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why I picked Arizona too, is because it was pretty close to Hawaii.
Wow. So
So,
what about chickens or something like that, or you don't like, or the snakes get
oh,
them?
well, I'm vegan, so I don't do any meat or
You don't
anything.
have anything, no eggs, no.
Once in a while I'll do an egg, but not no. Most of the time, no, I don't do any meat, no nothing, no dairy, nothing.
Okay. So now, what if you turn that into an Airbnb? Like, I mean, you had a shed that had probably less than what you've got now.
Yeah, I bought a camper and I put a camper down the hill and have a renter now in that camper.
Okay. All right. So you've
So
got this.
that's bringing in income. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody who wanted to do what you've done? But because for me, the biggest security issue isn't really even the money, it's the physical safety. Because if somebody were to find out you're by yourself, would they take advantage, or is it just that nobody would bother to drive out that far?
No, there's so many off-grid people out here. And I am so far off the path. Nobody drives by. There's nothing. There's no, it's not like I'm on a road that people can just look in and say, I'm so far in the middle of nowhere that there's no safety issues. And it's lawless out here. We have guns and everything. So
Okay. So do you have like a
yeah.
radio? If you had an emergency, you could contact somebody nearby?
Yeah, definitely. My phone works. So yeah, so if I had
Oh,
a
good.
problem, I would just call. Yeah. My
Okay.
phone,
So how do
I'm
you
out here.
charge your phone? Do you have a
When
battery or?
I moved out, I bought a solar generator.
Okay.
So it's that you can, yeah, it just plugs all your stuff in, and then it has solar panels. So I put solar panels up my roof, and then I have a solar generator that's in my cabin. And then I have panels and stuff out here, out in the kitchen for my freezer, and then for other extra stuff that I need. I built my own solar and put it all together and everything.
So for you, is it about being by yourself and living off grid, or how would it be if you had like a community living like that?
No, I wouldn't want to. I like to teach people. I would like this to almost be like a little retreat thing that like groups would come. I don't know, just like another town or something. It would drive me crazy.
You want people around you.
No, that's why I'm out here, because I don't want people around me. No.
So what happens when you go to work? Like, is it just a normal experience and then you come home by yourself and that's kind of giving you a bit of balance, or do you just want to
Yeah,
quit your job and
yeah,
leave?
yeah. I was doing cooking. I'm doing journey painting right now. So I'm with a small company. It's just me and the boss, and then one other lead painter. And we paint houses, interior, exterior, commercial, everything. So for me, painting is very zen. So I have to have my balance of zen out here and also in my work, because it would just contradict each other. So
Yeah.
it's perfect. Painting is just really, really relaxed for me. It's very um, um, it's just very focused. There's not a lot of thought process involved. Because I have a
Yeah.
lot going on out here. If I had a job that mentally was just a lot, it'd be difficult. Because out here, I mean, it's just there's so much. It's very mentally taxing, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so so yeah, the job just balances just wonderfully so far. But I have an hour drive. So I go into Bullhead because there's Kingman. I live in Golden Valley, but Kingman and there's, I don't know, one side and Bullhead is on the other, and I drive into Bullhead, and because I'm so far out, it takes me an hour to get to work.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially with your road. So
Yeah,
has your family come
that's the
to see you?
problem.
Do they ever come
Oh
and
no,
visit?
nobody's come out here. No. My daughter, because we hike Grand Canyon and all of that stuff, and she came out to see me in January, and she didn't like it. So but she stayed with me for a few days. She actually went home early, actually. Um, and then my mom and her husband are coming out in February, yeah, for the first time. So they're going to come and stay in Bullhead and have the whole comforts, the creature comforts and all stuff, because they can't be without AC. They can't. And then I'll drive them out here so they can actually see it and like that kind of thing. But they'll probably be out here about 2.3 seconds, and then they'll go back. So
No, but you'll have that extra window in. Then they can look out the window.
yeah, no, they don't want nothing to do with any of that. So, but this isn't
Okay.
a lifestyle for anybody. It's just not something that everybody can do. It's not.
No,
It's not.
no, definitely
No,
not.
no.
No.
I find that in dating, because I'm on like the dating, like Facebook dating sites and all of that stuff. And yeah, I've talked to like 300 friggin' men probably. I think probably, and it's like they all
Wow.
either they think you're nuts, or they think that you're homeless, or they think that you're trying to escape from something, or that you're just out of prison, and just all of these weird things. It's a very strong stereotype that a woman is out here doing this on her own, by
Well, it
herself.
is.
Absolutely, yeah, and they think that's really weird. Guys don't like that. They don't like that much independence, I don't think.
Well, I think it takes a certain kind of person to even want to stay like that by yourself, man or woman. So you'd
Mhm.
have to find a guy that is also like that, but then he'd want to be alone. You might see
Yeah,
each
but
other
usually,
once a week.
usually off-grid people like to be alone. So it's kind of
Yeah,
funny. You're like, okay, well, yeah. But I mean, yeah, I would like to find a partner that would have that same drive and that. Of course, I would, because all this is so beautiful, and it's just
yeah.
such an amazing adventure. It's amazing. And every day I sit on my porch sometimes and just have to just pinch myself and go, wow, I can't believe, this is just nuts. Um, so yeah, it would have to be, somebody that I think has already had an off-grid experience. I think probably, um,
Well,
because I
you
would
say
want
that,
them to have off-grid.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you wanted to help teach people and show them, you've got a phone, you've got a camera, you can do it. You can do it online. And then you don't
Yeah,
have to actually have them physically in your place. You can just do it
like
all
like
online.
YouTube stuff.
Yeah. Because it's something
Yeah,
people would love to be able to do, but you're paving the way. You did all your
yeah,
research. What would work best? What could I build by myself? Is it doable? Can you live?
yeah, and I think it's unique too, because I'm solo woman too, and I'm
Totally.
also vegan, and so vegan really helps a lot out here.
Absolutely. Yeah,
It
you,
helps a
you're
lot.
one of a kind. Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps the food bill down, and it really it really simplifies things for me. I think
Yeah.
probably um in a strange way, because I don't have to deal with milk going bad. I don't have to deal with dairy. I don't have to deal with all of that stuff. I don't have to deal with a freezer full of meat. The only reason why I have my freezer, because when I first moved out here, I didn't want a refrigerator and all of that stuff, because that would have to run all the time, and then it would take a bunch of room up in my cabin. So I got just a cooler, a good one, a Lifetime cooler, and I use it as
Yeah.
a bench. So I have the Lifetime cooler there, and it's right in front of my door, so I can sit down, put my shoes on, all of that stuff. And then I freeze 1 gallon jugs of water. And that's what I use my freezer for. And so I'll have 3 jugs in my freezer and then 3 in my cooler. So then once the other ones are froze, I'll switch it and then put my freezer ones in there and then switch them out. And that's my cooling system. And it's all full of vegetables and stuff, obviously. That's all it is.
Yeah. So is there anything that you miss from the old life?
No. No. No, I don't think anything. But even conveniences and that kind of thing really aren't convenient. You're just spending money on entertainment, or you're spending money on things that you really don't need to spend on. And you're buying these things. You're buying, all of these things that you don't need. And that was hard for me. And I think that is something that's really difficult, that I think everybody that's thinking about doing off-grid, is you have to downsize and you have to get rid of all your possessions, basically, because you're going, so that was hard. That separation was hard of getting the things. But then now it's a bad thing, because I'm on all the off-grid sites on Facebook and all of that stuff. And there's these, people with lots of money going, oh, I'm going off-grid, but they're building like these giant houses and spending 50 grand just on their solar systems. And I'm like, no, you guys are definitely, defeating the purpose. They're building these off-grid houses, but they have dishwashers. They have like all of these like things, and I'm like, what? So it's like a fad thing, that these people with lots of money now, it's like, oh, well, I'm off grid. I'm like, okay, but you're wasting so many. Okay, you're okay. I use a quarter cup of water to brush my teeth. I use probably 2 gallons of water for a shower. I use no water for bathroom. Other than wash my bucket after I compost, it's probably like a half a gallon of water. I mean, if you think, I don't use much of anything, and you really think of how much that you're wasting in energy and water and everything else on a daily basis, in a normal conventional home.
Yeah. Well, I know that parting with your and everything and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, parting with your stuff's difficult, but once you got rid of it, how did it feel after you got rid of your stuff?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was like freeing. Yeah, it was very invigorating. It was very nice, because you don't have all of those things, because all of those things bring responsibility, because you're worried about things breaking, or somebody stealing them, or like that kind of thing. So I don't know. It's different out here. I don't even lock my door when I leave and go to work.
Well, who's going to go there? And if they do, how are they going to get out again? They're going to have to walk down that long road.
Fine. I don't have nothing. Yeah, what are they going to steal? Ooh, it's like, and I have the 2 dogs too, so they're inside, and they have a doggy door, and they have a big, fenced in yard, so they can go in and out all day and do whatever they do,
Yeah. Well, I'm moving overseas at the end of the month, and I've sold off most of my furniture. And I understand what you mean by letting go. But once it's gone, I'm like, yay, freedom. At the moment, I'm sleeping on my mattress on the floor, and I feel amazing. It's like,
see,
so much space.
Exactly. And that's what I did. My birthday's coming up in July, and I do something for my birthday. And I went to Nordic Village last year, which was by Flagstaff, because it's cooler, because it gets really hot. The hottest it gets here, I think, last summer was probably like 115. And then the rest of the time, it was still hot, but it wasn't as hot as 115. But people think, how can you survive in, out in the desert at 115 degrees? It's dry too. And then you're outside all the time. I'm outside all the time. And then with the swamp cooler, it's really not that bad. So I did last year for my birthday, I would get the dogs out of the heat and everything, and just go to Flagstaff, which is at least 15 degrees cooler, and all this trees and pines and stuff was like camping, So I ended up renting a yurt, because I want to put a yurt up at some point. And so I rented this tiny yurt for my birthday for it was like a long weekend. I think I'm going to do that again this year. Is go up there and that had just a pad on the floor. And you bring all of your camping, stuff to cook and all that stuff. And it's 3 miles from the office. You have to hike 3 miles into this pine forest for the year, and I did it last year, and it was just it was amazing. It was just so fun. So even when I go and I take some time for myself, it's still off grid.
Wow. So if a normal, I say normal person, but if a normal person wanted to do that, do you think it requires a certain kind of mindset to be able to do what you
Oh
do?
yeah, oh yeah. People are nuts. They have no clue what it's about, and it's about survival. You know, you get out here with nothing, especially in the desert. There's coyotes, there's giant tarantulas, there's rattlesnakes. I mean, it's stuff is just like a daily thing. And you just yeah, and you got to just figure that out. And if you break your leg or have some you get sick or something, oh you're screwed. Yeah, it's like, what do you do? And mostly it's for
So,
my pets, not for me, because
okay.
yeah,
So if
I
a
try to keep
rattlesnake
them
bites
safe.
you, do you have like anti-venom or something like that?
Now you got to go to the hospital. You got to go to the hospital
Okay.
and get yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, and how would you get there? And how long does it take for the, not that
Oh, it
I'm
takes me an
looking for
hour to
bad
get
news,
anywhere.
or
Yeah.
they're not
No, it takes
fatal?
me an hour to get. Yeah, it takes me an hour to get anywhere.
Okay. Wow.
So I would probably just tie it off wherever the bite was, and try to get anywhere as soon as possible, and 911 and have them meet me at the first crossroad.
Couldn't you keep
Okay.
anti-venom there?
I think so, but I don't know where I would buy it. I don't know where if that's possible. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I it's just that,
I don't know.
like I'd make sure of that, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that works. So in
Yeah.
Hawaii, is your land by the ocean, or I suppose Hawaii is surrounded by ocean anyway, so it would be pretty
Yes.
close no matter where
Yeah,
you
but
go.
I'm on the Big Island, and so there's the Big Island. You can drive all the way around the Big Island, but there's two volcanoes on the Big Island. So yeah, you can get really far away from the ocean because you're up on high altitudes. But I'm pretty close. I'm in Pahoa, so that's like it's 10, 15 minutes, I think, each. So yeah, it's and I'm right by town. Pahoa is like a little tiny like hippie, like bohemian town, like all of like the storefronts are different colors and kind of thing.
Wow.
So that's why because as I get older, I'm not going to be able to do this real hard off grid an hour away from everything thing as I get older. And I thought about that in Hawaii. I was going to buy land up by Mauna Loa, which is all like all just volcanic rock, and I was going to do like I'm doing here. I could have got an acre or more for the price that I paid for just the two small lots that are in Pahoa, but it would have been the same. It would been the same here. It would have been the same long drive. It would have been almost the same exact situation, and I don't want to do that as I get older.
Yeah. Well, you've got both
What
now.
if I
You can do
can't?
both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if I can't? Yeah. I want to be able to get on my little bike with a little basket in the front and do in the town and go grocery shop and all that stuff, and then do back. Yeah, I don't want to do the whole I don't know what my health is going to be at that time. So
Well, you're not there yet, so it's fine for now.
yeah, I know it's great for now. And then eventually, if I ended up moving to Hawaii, I'll be set, and I'll have a place that's close enough to to people and stuff, and that kind of thing. My land is still out in the middle, kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's within like an estates. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So if people wanted to get hold of you to maybe find out more, can I post your Facebook links? Do you have any other way for them to
Definitely
connect with
email
you?
and stuff. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to mentor as many people as possible, because I think the world and what it is now, I think if people have more options of they can do that, or there are some people that it's just they want to do it and they're scared, but they have no guidance.
Yes, exactly. And I'm one of them.
And just learn solar. Solar is really important to learn the hookup of solar. And that was one of the things that was very difficult for me. And it wasn't difficult to do. It was the daunting task of learning about solar and how to do it. And
Yeah.
I figured it out, and I just my solar array for my freezer and all of that, the panels, everything cost me $600.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, and
that's
there's
just
so
around a
much, but
freezer.
I saw there's like plans that people can buy for water where you can build some contraption and then it collects the water from the atmosphere. Would something like that
Yeah, I
work
can't
there?
do
Or
that here because it's too dry. It's too dry here.
yeah,
Yeah, but I haul
yeah.
water, and I have a 500 gallon tank, and then I have another 500 gallon tank that I put in the back of my truck, and then I go into Golden Valley or on the way home or whatever and fill it up, and it's a dollar per 500 gallons. It's
Wow.
just yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's
that
wonderful.
is it. Yeah, absolutely.
And
I
then
mean,
I buy
people can't even
my
live
drinking
like that.
water.
It's not possible.
No, and I buy my
Yeah,
drinking water because drinking water for me and the dogs is really, really important. That it's clean, and I filter it after that too. So
yeah.
I buy drinking water and fill up 2 3 gallons, two big 3 gallon containers, and then 4 separate gallons for the dogs. So they
Wow.
have their separate water. So, but it's all the same. And
Yeah,
because you go through a real lot of water in the summer
yeah, I'm sure.
because you're
I'm sure.
drinking it more and everything. So
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so do you have a message for people? Because I mean, like you're a brave soul. That's all I can say.
just whatever, just wait. Don't wait until the right time because there isn't a right time. Um, yeah, just think about what you really want out of life. Life is short. Life is, I wish I did this years ago. I'm going to be more in July. Yeah, I just wish I did this years ago. Whatever it is that your dream is that you wanted, you just figure out a way to do it, and don't second guess it. Because if I second guessed it and I didn't buy that land just because I couldn't see it, if I listened to everybody and say, "Why are you doing that? Why are you buying land when you haven't seen it?" and all of that stuff, and take a chance. I mean, you go by your gut feeling because people are gonna think you're crazy, no matter what your is. Because if you're doing something that's out of the norm that everybody else, thinks that they can't do, that doesn't mean that you can't. Just don't listen to anybody else because they'll talk you out of it. If I listen to my mom, are you kidding me? There's no way. And then with land in Hawaii, I haven't even told my mom I bought land in Hawaii because when I told her about my plans to buy land in Hawaii, she was like, "There's not going to be any water there and that kind of thing." I said, "Ma, I live in the desert. I'm not worried about water. I think I'm okay. If I can figure out the water situation here, I probably can think about yeah." And I'm on the rainy side in Hawaii too. So I'm like, if
Wow.
anything, I'll be so I think
Well, the thing is, a pioneer doesn't listen to others because you're the one who leads the way. You can't, they don't, there is no way. So then you find the way. Then you can
well,
show
look at it
others.
when like the old West. What if they didn't travel? What if they didn't take the chance and get on the boat and find new lands and all of that stuff? I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I think it's
Exactly.
that same thing. I think it's all instinctual in us to have an adventure. Adventures are everything. Traveling is everything. I tell young people, what are your plans? Buy land somewhere, invest, travel, see the world, just do it because you're going to get wrapped up in work. You're going to get wrapped up in families. You're going to get wrapped up in all this stuff. Yeah, have an adventure. Adventure is just, it's so good for your soul and so good for do it inspires you to maybe that'll inspire you to become a different person and change your life and other people's too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know
Yeah.
what? Your only regret then is not having done it sooner. And I think most
Yes.
people, when they get older, that's their regret, is that they didn't do what they actually wanted to do.
Because
Nobody
it's
got
your
older
health and
saying,
stuff
I
too.
wish I worked harder.
Yes. No, I don't think anybody says that. No, I think, oh, I should have worked, 80 hours a week instead. No, I don't think anybody says that. So
Yeah,
I think it's really important to, as your health too, because that's why I jumped in and did my land because my mom is healthy, everybody's healthy. I better do this right now because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it a year from now, 2 years from now. Who knows with your health? I don't know if something could have happened. So I said, my health, I'm still strong, I'm still healthy. I'm going to go out and do it now. Now my land is set and all of that stuff. So when something happens with my mom and and that kind of thing. I'll have confidence and stuff that I'll be able to go and help her and take care of her, and then come back to a land that is pretty basic. It's ready. It's ready to go.
Yeah. Well, you've got your daughter as well if you need. You have got family. It's not like you're not totally on your own.
Yeah, kind of.
Well,
I'm an only
kind of.
child
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I know.
So that's kind of it. Now with my mom, this is gonna be a mess because she's like my best friend and my biggest fan, and every time I do, she's like, "Cause my dad was a contractor, and my mom was like, your dad will be so proud on what you're doing and what you've accomplished," and I'm like, I hope so, because it's been quite a learning curve. So many times it's like things I gotta lift or things I gotta do or things I gotta build, and I have to think about it for like days at a time, going, how am I going to do this? And then, and then I end up doing it, and I'm like, whoo, I almost died. Okay, I'll be all right. It's like, I always tell my mom
Doesn't
before
kill
I
you,
do
makes
something
you stronger.
yeah, I always tell my mom and call my mom and tell her what I'm doing. She's like, you better call me, like, I'll hear from you. But my aunt has a dropped pin. I went there for November. I went there. I drove all the way out there with the two dogs for for Thanksgiving to see my mom and my family. And I visited my aunt because she's in the same place as my mom. And I told my mom, I said, no, somebody has to know where I am. So I brought them to where my property was on Google Maps, and I dropped the pin and all of that stuff. I says, because if anything happens, you guys will know where I am, because I mean, that's kind of important to know, like, where I am. There's a couple people here that I know that my mom has their number, and that kind of thing, that they would know where I am. But there's nobody that knows where I am. Nobody's been out to my property. Nobody knows where I am.
Wow. Well, there's good and bad because we are communal beings, but some people aren't. Some people just aren't. I also find like being by myself is amazing.
Do you like being by yourself?
I love it. I
Me
absolutely
too.
love it.
A lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand. Play a piece with a book, just hanging out. Like today, I'm doing all kinds of work. When I get off the phone with you, I'm finishing doing stuff on my building, putting my trim and doing board batten and all of that stuff on my building. And I look forward to my weekends of doing this alone. And they're like, aren't you, guys, they try to get in. Like, aren't you lonely? I'm like, no, not at all. No, not at all. I enjoy my solitude. Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Men can be useful, but they can also be drama.
Oh, and they can be just a pain in the butt. Men are I've had so much problems with men because they just oh, you're working again, or are you doing this? Are you doing that? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yes, and that's what I want to do. And they end up start to control what I want and what my desires are, and then my desires and my dreams change because I'm trying to be a better wife or partner or whatever, because I'm like that, because I will change things for my partner. So I just stay away altogether because I'm really focused on what I want. I'm very, very focused on what I want for my retirement, for my future. And I don't want anything to get in the way of that.
Yeah. Well, you need somebody that thinks the way you do and gives you your space.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to find.
Yeah, exactly.
I need a lot of space.
They're actually not real. Those are in the movies.
Yeah. You fall in love and you just spend every day together. No, I did that for 13 years. Yeah, I don't want that again. It took me forever to get to where I am, to build my own confidence, to have what I have. Just money wise too. I mean, it takes. I work full time as painting, plus I do side jobs and that kind of thing too. And I'm an artist. So I mean, all of those things, you have to pull all your resources to get in, to be able to do that, to be able to afford what I'm doing. It takes a lot. It takes a lot, and my land payments and everything are a lot. Just that. And then I was fine until I got land money, and now I got a lot more. So you have to be focused, and you really have to just keep going. Then now having somebody renting my camper too is a sacrifice to somebody else on my property. Ugh, that's a pain in the ass. but the income helps so much. It's going to help me to do, and I'm helping that person mentor and how to live off grid and stuff too. So
Yeah. So can you show
yeah.
us around, or is it, or the camera stop, or the?
I don't know. I think it'll probably. Can you see? Huh? Can you see it, the camera?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So.
Okay, we'll go. See, there's the house. That's the cabin.
Wow.
Can you see with the lighting and stuff?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, all the interior is all done with pallets. So the pallets,
Yeah.
I took them apart and all of the, but that's my art too. Yeah.
Wow.
And then that, and then that's on floor, and then I have a lot up there, and I just put that window in last week, but they're all on. Yeah.
And now the camera stopped. I think it might. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there's Hawaii. Nice.
Yeah, I got my yeah, to keep me focused. And all my spiritual books and stuff too. So you can see the camper is down there. And then, yeah, it's basically all around. It's just, yeah, it's just 100. Yeah, there's nothing.
Wow.
There's nothing. Yeah.
What do you do on a weekend? What is the plan for like a weekend?
Oh, that's what I'm doing this weekend. I'm working on my building. So when you're off grid, you're constantly improving and constantly there's always work to do. And I just started landscaping, so my place is full of rocks. So I am constantly raking rocks, and I'm making gardens and just doing little fun things like that too. So yeah, it's constant work, constant. But I enjoy it so much. It's so rewarding. So when I put that window in last weekend, I was psyched. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. So now, because now I have like airflow, going through now, because the more airflow that you have, the better that your swamp cooler and stuff works. Absolutely. So yeah, that window is great. Usually I sleep with the door open, because it just brings airflow through because it's hot. And then, so I don't have to do that as much. As soon as I put that other window in, it'll be a cross breeze. Because there's usually always a breeze, and then I probably won't have to leave my door open. So, but right now I think the temperature in about like 85, I think, during the day, but it's still dropping at night to like 76 and 60s. So it's wonderful at night. It's cool. But in the summer it doesn't. In the summer it stays up in the hundreds, and then it only drops to like, so it's really hot. Yeah. It's really hot in the summer, so it really needs that swamp cooler. Is a
for sure.
Yeah, it's a must-have. Yeah.
So what about like a fan that runs off solar or something like that? Would that work?
I thought about all of that, and then the fan that runs off solar would only work during the day unless I did another battery pack.
Of course. Yes.
And then I have a timer. I use my solar generator. And then I have a little timer that plugs into it, so because I leave my solar generator on, and that timer goes in, and then my swamp cooler plugs into that timer. So the swamp cooler automatically goes on at like 1 o'clock for the dogs, because it starts to get hot at like, and then it runs until whatever I set the timer for, 6 o'clock or whatever. So, but all of these
pretty organized.
It's taken me to. This is not something that just like happens. I've never done this before, so it has taken just a lot of thought, a lot of research, and then coming out here and just doing it, because you'll come out here and you'll try to do it and you'll get, okay, guess that didn't work. You're like, crap. so then you got to figure out something else until you figure it out. And I never would have been able to do that if I was living somewhere else and just traveling to my property. You have to live it to do it.
Yeah.
I know it sounds really corny. I should have a shirt. But
there you go.
No way.
You're on the good shirt.
You can't do it unless you're out here doing it. Because it's just, you could think about it all day. You could think about scenarios. You could think about, emergencies that could happen. You could think about things that could go wrong. No, more will go wrong than you planned for. It will just, there's things that you can't even fathom that would happen, that you would be like, okay, I have no clue how to fix this. I'm like, I have no, but you just do it. You have to. You don't have a choice to do that. And you still have to get up and you still have to go to work the next day, even with all of like crazy, like your roof is coming off or something. I mean, you just don't know, and they still have to go in and go to work every single day. So it's just, and I think after these 2 years, I think I've worked, I think most of the bugs out. so I think it's okay. I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. Yeah, I'm okay. But in the beginning, it was scary. And I think it's going through each season. Getting through the winter is easy. It's very easy to heat something. Propane, heater, whatever, yes. Absolutely no problem. The summers are that problem. You have to think about staying cool. And there's no way to do that out here. And so with solar, you can't just plug something in. You can't run ACs. You can't do any of that. That was scary. The winter's no problem. Yeah, you can put food outside and keep it cool. You can just use a propane heater. Ta-da! You're done. There's no other issues. But summers, it's a whole nother animal. It all changes.
So what about like insulation? Because I know in Africa they've got special reeds or something that they use for the huts, and apparently that works quite well. Or they use mud. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, I thought about doing all of that. I wanted to do like an earth home, but the amount of intensity of labor and the time that it would have taken, I never would have been able to get it done by myself. I needed something I could do by myself. So yeah, I ordered my kit with no insulation, and I ended up using straw.
Yeah, and how does that work? Is it good?
Yes, and I packed it in, and I did the pallets up, and then I put plastic in between the straw and then my interior with the pallets. I researched all kinds of, this is years and years and years to figure out, I don't know what I'm doing. And I needed it to be cheap. I needed it to be something that I could do myself. I wanted it to be eco-friendly too, because I didn't want to do regular basic insulation. I don't like asbestos, I don't like all that stuff. So that's what I came up with. And it seemed to have worked just brilliantly. It seemed to work so far. And it's something that if it doesn't work later on, I can always take it out and I can always put something else in. But it seems to be great. And I just packed it in and pushed it all in really hard and then just worked out all the way up until the roof in there. And that's ended up what I used. The kit did not come with any insulation. The kit only came with post and beam and then siding. So I did hardy board. I did plywood and stuff on the outside of that, and then did bubble wrap, like a reflective bubble wrap. So I figured that would be good for the heat. So I kind of overkilled it, and then my siding on top of that. So it's pretty good. And I did that for the roof and stuff also. Yeah, and plus the straw. So, and it doesn't get that cold.
Done to you.
We hardly ever get snow. It usually does a frost, but it's very, very brief. So it wasn't insulation for the winter; it was insulation for the summer.
Yeah.
Because it's hot.
Arizona, I've been there. It can get pretty hot.
Yeah, 115 was the hottest it got here in Golden Valley. Like Phoenix, and that gets 120, 130, even plus. And I would not have done off-grid in that situation. So here, yeah, the hottest it got last time was 115.
Wow.
And people are like, just fathom that you could survive in 115 without AC and without.
Can't you climb in the chest freezer?
Yeah, I know. No, that's too cold for me. I think you get acclimated. You get acclimated from the heat, and I work outside in the heat all day too. So you really get acclimated. And then at night when you're showered and your hair is wet and you're in and you put that swamp cooler, you're in that. I get cold.
Wow.
Which you would not think that you would be cold. Yeah, and it's a pretty big swamp cooler. You saw it. It's a pretty big thing. And that blowing on you with it, I actually get chilly.
Wow. Well, that's awesome.
Thank goodness. Yeah. I did not know that at the time. I didn't know what I was going to do. And it took so much research and so much stuff to figure it all out.
But you know what? It's rewarding.
Oh, tremendously. And it still is every single day. Yeah, because I'm trying to get my building done and I'm getting, trim on it and all of that stuff and everything. What fun. is to have that finished, and then I'm going to work on this my outside kitchen, and then I'll try to get that finished, and try to do the same thing on this. Yeah, and then after that, it's always something, and then now I need a storage unit. I need some kind of storage building because I have just stuff that I want. I am very organized out here. There's a lot of people that live off grid that their place is trashed. And the neighbors were like that. And they just have trash everywhere. They just have it's just awful. I am very organized. I have all my lumber stacked. I even have my pallets stacked. I have everything in complete order. So if somebody flies over with a drone or something, they're going to say, well, that person's got their stuff together.
Yeah.
I put vehicles next to each other and the same thing. I'm just always, yes, I am very, very organized. And I think that's a lot of it too, because my place inside is so small. It needs to be organized. It's not perfect, but it needs to be very organized. And I think that's something that needs to be practiced on a daily basis, because as soon as it gets out of hand, forget it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you would have to be organized if you want to live that way, because you can't just run out of water.
Yes. But it's just putting things back in their place. And making sure that you're keeping up on things, because I keep up on laundry, because we start really early at work. I have to get up at 4 to get into work by 6, so I can, and we get out early because it's hot with painting. And then if I get home at a reasonable hour, I'll do a load of laundry and hang a load of laundry out, and just keep up with laundry and just keep up with all of those things, because those get out of hand really quick too. It's so easier to go into the laundromat than do 10 loads at a time, but I don't have that luxury to be able to do that. So I can only do it 1 bucket at a time. So if I do 2 loads of laundry, that's, like 10 shirts and, 4 pairs of pants or whatever. That's, and it's pretty fast. And it's so dry out here, believe it or not. You hang laundry out, it is dry in 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, 20 minutes at the most. And you can't, why am I going to waste time at the laundromat when I can do it here, spend time with the dogs and be on my land and just wash my clothes and then hang them out and they're done faster by hand than they are if I went to the laundromat.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why you live there. So it's about living there, not trying to live there and doing it elsewhere as well.
Or spending more time at work or spending someplace somewhere else. I love being out here. And every single time I'm not out here, I just look forward so much to the weekends. I'll go away on a trip, like I do, and then go away for a couple of days and come back, and I'm just like, oh, thank goodness. I'm just like, this is like the oasis when everybody else, everybody goes away to a hotel, and
people go away to be doing what you're doing. You are away.
Yeah, I am away. See, and that's what life is about, isn't it? Is making your home your oasis, and I think a lot of people don't live that way. I don't think they know how to do that, and all the noise and the chaos and all of that stuff. That's what I want to get away from, is all of that, and that's when you find peace. But there's a lot of people that can't do that. They can't live in their own head. They can't find that peace within their own thoughts, and that's where that spirituality comes from too. It's because you're never really alone. You always have somebody guiding you. I've been in some really precarious situations out here. I've had some really close calls, and you really think, boy, there's somebody looking out for me today. Thank you so much. I'll drive in the work. Yeah, I'll drive in the work, and I'll be just like, thank you, God, for watching over me, and for, and just, let me experience this and show me the way on how to do things, because, man, there is no way I'm doing this by myself. I couldn't have done it by myself. So I definitely have guidance. And I definitely have, somebody out there that's really trying to, help me out and give me that support that I need. And without that faith, there is no way I would have felt confidence to do this, on my own, because I didn't do it on my own. I'm out here on my own. But I definitely had help.
Well, I was going to say, you're alone, but you're not lonely. There's a big difference.
There's a huge difference. And I don't think a lot of people can do that. I don't think they don't have that ability to be able to have inner strength to be able to do that. Yeah.
You're right. In fact, when I was married, I was lonelier being married than I am by myself. And it's just
Definitely. Because
like
people will make you feel like that.
yeah, they will. They'll isolate you. And then you think, well, there is someone who could keep me company, and where are they? But now I actually wonder, I've got so much time that I think I don't know where to start doing what I want to do.
That's so funny that we're so similar in that way, because I feel the same way. I just feel like that I was always feeling guilty of wanting to do things on my own, or wanting to do a certain thing, or I would do like volunteer work because I do that a lot too. And I always felt guilty because my partner was like, well, why are you doing that for other people? What are you so happy for? And all of those things. And it was like, now I can be happy and just be me and be um, accepted for that. And if those people that I'm around won't accept me for me being me now, I just let them go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No apologies.
No, because you know who you are. Because you really get to know who you are. That's why a lot of these like spiritual retreats and stuff are out in the middle of nowhere, because it makes perfect sense. There is people that don't get to go just out and walk in the woods and just be alone and be quiet. And how much peace just comes from that is just mind blowing. And I would like to be able to help that with people, to be able to do that, to be able to learn how to be at peace with themselves, because I think that's the most important thing. If you're not at peace with yourself and you don't even know who you are, how can you be in a relationship and make somebody else happy if you don't even really know how to do that for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I think most people are looking for someone to fill the void, and they'll never be happy because no one can do it for you. Nobody will fill it the way you need it to be filled.
Nope. And you can't do that. You can't fill that space in your heart, with somebody else. You have to be happy, and then try to be happy, and then just, then you can nurture each other too. There's a lot of times you'll get into a relationship and that person is not happy and it drags you down, and then you're spending the whole time trying to make that other person happy. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's not my job to begin with anyways. So
yeah, no, I'm with you on that, because you can't make anyone happy. It's a choice. It's a choice they get to make.
No, it's not.
And
it's not your responsibility either.
No, not at all. If you are a fixer and a rescuer, you're going to end up doing it, wanting them to be happy so you can be happy. And at the end of the day, if they choose not to be, they're not going to be.
That's what my mom said too. He says, you can't help and rescue all these guys. So I found out that I'm not a good dude picker. So I just don't do it because I'm not a good picker. I'm awful. I'll pick these guys that are just like alcoholics, or they're just out of jail, or they're on probation, or I'm like,
the one they accuse you of being.
Yeah, then they accuse me of being nutso. I'm like, no, you don't have I need somebody with their stuff together, yeah. And you think that I get that the guys that you're looking for are more mature, kind of thing. No, it's worse. I think they're getting worse. I think they have more baggage as they get older. They have more issues as they get older. And so I don't think it's it doesn't change at all.
No, I agree, because they'll just move from one relationship to the next, and they just want to fill that space, but they don't deal with the loss.
And they don't work on themselves. Yeah, they don't work on themselves. And guys, they're the last ones to work on themselves, unless they're really spiritual, unless they're into something like that. They're not going to stop and go, I really wish I should really get myself together and work on myself before I get into another relationship. No man's going to say that. they are thinking.
There are a few, but they're very rare. Yeah. I've watched a TikTok where this woman said women are all going to get cats, but the problem is, what if we run out of cats? So that's something to worry about.
But I have seen a big fluctuation because I'm on all of the off-grid web things and stuff on Facebook. Now, a lot of women are doing things on their own.
Yeah, they are.
They're out there getting stronger and doing things, and that's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the main person you're going to protect yourself from is a man. It's not another woman. Women aren't going to be opportunity looking for somebody else to go and harass or threaten. So, there's that story
I'm
about would
constantly
you
on
rather be in the
protection.
forest with a bear or a man?
A
It's that
bear.
whole bear argument.
Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't dated since because I started dating because I knew I was going off grid. So I wouldn't date anybody that didn't have, like camping experience and that kind of thing. And it ended up they lied of what experience they had and like what that they were willing to do. So I would test them and we'd go out and we'd go live in my van and we'd go on a trip. And they had no clue what they were doing. So then I just stopped dating because
Wow.
they're just gonna lie anyways. So I just
Yeah.
stopped dating altogether. So I haven't dated for years and years because I just won't. Well, what's the point? I didn't date before I came out here because if I was going to get into a serious relationship, I wanted them to be able to be a partner and be able to do off grid, and they couldn't. So when I got out here, I started looking for people that were, that were off grid, and they can't either. So I'm like, okay, never mind,
Yeah,
never
but
mind.
what you're doing is very rare, let's face it.
Yeah,
You're looking for a man who's spiritual is very well, there are a lot of spiritual men, but it would take a lot for you to sacrifice the kind of life you have for a guy to match that, I think.
I told him he's got to be a unicorn.
Okay.
But it is true. Do you think with an average guy, you would let him into your life at this point in
Nope.
your life? Thank
Nope.
you. Yep,
Nope.
exactly.
I'm not
All
I'm
the
not
hard work
happy.
I've done. Yeah, all the
Nope.
hard work I've done. I'm secure with myself. I'm not egotistical. Am I perfect? Oh no, in absolutely no form of section of anything. So I learn every single day. I learn stuff every day. I do stupid things every single day. I put the hammer on top of the ladder, and then I move the ladder, and the hammer falls on top of my head. I do stuff like that every day, every day. And I'm the first to admit it. Boy, that was stupid. Off grid, you can't. You have to be humble because if you get too egotistical, you're gonna get hurt. You have to be every day. You have to be okay. Can I do this? Am I gonna die doing this? Okay, let's think about this for a minute and try to figure it out. And you make mistakes every single day. And if you don't think like that, you really got to be careful. You can get hurt. Um, so yeah, it's very important to realize what your limitations are too. Out here mentally, physically, um, what you're capable of and how but you have to have a lot of confidence though.
Yeah. But I think
It's
because
ridiculous.
we are not as strong as men, you will plan more. So you might not be as quick as them or as strong as them, but because you plan it, you're able to do it anyway. It might take you a bit longer, but you'll do it right.
It does take me longer, and I have to build fulcrums. I have to like put things up high enough, and put them off my truck onto something, and then from there up to like something higher because I'm just like, there's no way I'm going to be able to lift that. I don't know I'm going to do it. But yeah, I figured it out. I've put my own roof on. I've put my own metal roof on by myself. All of these things, and this is heavy, big, things. Has it taken me like 3 times as long? Probably. Um, but still
Yeah.
did it. Still doing it.
Yeah.
It takes you have to have a confidence within yourself to be able to do these kind of things. And as a woman in a society that if that is saying that you're not good enough, or that you're just a woman, or society in general doesn't like a woman that can do everything on their own. Hence, I found with dating, guys don't like that. Um, they like the idea of an independent woman, but when it comes down to it, they don't want a woman
No,
that's
they don't.
independent because it makes them feel like they're not needed,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is ridiculous. Isn't that ridiculous? Oh, she don't need me. She can do that on her own. Oh, heck yeah, I can do that on my own. Yeah, but that don't mean wouldn't still need you in my life. I would be at a different level. But men have such a high ego about those kind of things that they want a woman that's can you help me with this? And all of that. No, that is not me. This is so not me. Yeah.
Well, you would intimidate those men.
Yes, most men, I think probably. Most men are like, whoa, wow. And then they'll bring up some excuse why that they couldn't live that way, or though they could do it better. There's so many guys that are online when I first started going off grid too that I was still like, well, what's your plan? Well, they think they're intrigued at first. They're like, wow, I would love to be able to do that, and that's amazing and all this stuff. But when they start saying, giving you advice about, oh, you know, you're gonna need water up, or you're gonna need solar, I'm like, really? Wow. Never would have thought that. You didn't tell me that. Wow, you're so smart, doofus. And then they still give me advice now. You know, I'm just like, no, I did that. I built that myself. No, I already figured that out. No, I already, you know, I'm like, what can they teach me? I mean, seriously. Yeah, they can't. It can't. It's not gonna. There's no. And they're like, oh well, I bought land and I've had it for 3 years. And this one guy that was in town. And so I'm like, oh wow, a guy that has land too, and he was right in town and all this stuff. Found out he's living at the trailer park in town in a camper when he has land out here in Golden Valley. I'm like, you've had this land for how many years? Yeah, I go quadding. He wanted to go side by side quadding. You know, side by sides are like quads, but they're bigger and they have like almost like a golf cart, but with an engine and big wheels. That's what everybody has out here is side by sides. And you can go into town with them and everything. It was all back roads. So he's like, oh, you want to go out quadding? And I'm like, oh, that'd be fun, you know. So then I never jump at anything like that. So I kept talking to him and stalling, kept talking to him. Come to find out that, yeah, he has a camper. So you have a camper and everything that you're living. Yeah, I'm going to put the camper on the land and all that stuff. And he's like, oh, you want to go quadding? I said, yeah, where would you like to meet? You know, just doing that. And he's like, oh, meet at the campground, you know, and so and so. I said, why would we meet at the campground? Oh, well, that's where my camper is. Why are you at a campground? Don't you have land? And he's like, yeah, well, it's easier at the campground. You know, I have water and electricity and they have laundry there and everything. And I'm like, are you ever planning to move out to your land? I mean, why wouldn't you be working on your land? Why wouldn't you have your camper on your land? Like right now doing that. Oh, well, I have enough money, you know, to be able to. I'm just like, no. I mean, he had really no plan. I mean, was that what he was going to do? I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it. You're not going to do, you're at the campground? Really? Seriously? Okay. So that was that. And I come up with those scenarios over and over and over again. I'm just like, what is wrong with you guys? Here's a woman by herself that's done it, and you're living at a campground when you have land like 5 miles away. I'm like, okay. So you're a pussy, basically. I'm like, what?
No, and if he comes to live with you, he's going to start telling you how to do things.
Exactly. When he wouldn't do it in the beginning anyway. So it's like okay, it's not enough for a guy that has aspirations to live off grid. Is, you know, you need somebody that's actually done it, because then they're going to come here, and then even though they haven't done it, being a man, they're going to be like, oh, well, you should be doing this, you should do that, you should do that, you know, that kind of thing too. And I'm like, oh my Lord, I can't have that either.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because it took you years to plan, so he'd be years behind.
He was, there was no way. And he was my age. I'm like, are you going to plan on doing this when you die? Or when you're, it takes time to do this. You got to kind of do it kind of soon. But I think he's still at the campground.
You know what? You either need to do it together and start from scratch and build it. Yeah. Or you both already got to have been in a situation like that where you kind of compromise and, you know, help each other.
Well, I think there's a lot of men that are doing it too, that are already off grid and they're already doing it, but they're doing it in other parts of the country or that kind of thing too, which I would have no problem too. If I found a partner that was off grid somewhere else, I would have no problem doing half the year there, you know, and helping him do things and traveling. And then now I have to have somebody that likes Hawaii. So, and not everybody likes Hawaii either. So,
well,
so I don't know.
The thing is, if they are, like we said, if they are off grid, they probably won't be online either. They just are loners.
Yeah, but everybody's online. I mean, trying to find people like on Facebook and stuff either is pretty easy. There's a lot of people on Facebook stuff that want people to chat with, but they don't exactly want people in their life, but they want to share their experiences and that kind of thing. And that happens a lot on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, that's what you can do. I mean, that's what your plan is, right? To do that as well.
Yeah, well, I would like
Yeah.
to have be able to have retreats and have people come here, and be
That would
able
be
to run a
amazing.
business, just
Yeah.
to make money. I want to be able to make money. I want to be able to help people, but I'm not gonna give my knowledge away either. And people can bring their own tents. They can bring their own stuff. It's not something that I would have to have in place. I am planning on building some A-frames, some small A-frames, so I can do like Airbnb things, so people can
Uh,
come out and experience. Because I own part of a hill too, so it's up on a hill and over the other side of the hill too, which is really great. So the views are gorgeous up there. So I wanted to do some like 3 A-frames up there, so people could come and camp
Wow.
and at least experience it. Yeah, cheap, $40 a night. It's just nothing. And but also offer a program too that they can learn if they want questions and that kind of thing. Because my land borders BLM, so it's all state land, and I bought this property because it borders BLM. So there's thousands and thousands of acres of hiking and that kind of thing right at the edge of my property. So nobody can build on the side of my property.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's more
Well,
like I own like hundreds and hundreds. Yeah.
well, that's the way we were meant to live, right?
Yeah.
Originally.
Yeah.
I think you made the plan to do it. Your next step is to make the plan to make that a reality now.
Yeah, the next plan is do the Airbnb thing. I have the income coming in from the camper, which was a huge thing. So the next is to have income coming in with the Airbnb, because the more income that I can make off of my land, the less I have to work off my land. But I mean, it's just the basics. I mean, it's food, shelter, water.
Yeah.
And you would think that that's pretty easy. It's just like camping but when you come out here and you don't have that, you have to haul in your own water and you have to do all of that stuff. And then it's getting rid of trash and stuff too, because a lot of people off grid just throw their trash everywhere. And I am not that. I am very eco conscious too. So like I hardly do like cans and like that kind. But when I do, I bring them into work and make sure that I'm putting them in a dumpster and stuff at work. But everything that can't be burnt, I bring to work, and I burn everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, you don't want to, you're living out there to enjoy nature, not to be living in a dump either.
Oh, and a lot of people do that here off grid, especially in Arizona. You'll look at their off grid properties and they're just full of trash and just everything. And I am very organized, very clean, and I don't do any of that.
No. Wow. So do you think you were like a red Indian in your past life or something like that?
I was definitely something in my past life. And I don't know if I was. Hi, booby. He hates that rap on him. And you gonna come in complaining? Is that what you doing? And no, I don't know. I think I was. My history is part pioneer, anyways. So I forget. I'll have to get the information from you. But my ancestors were in a big pioneering exhibition, and I can't. I'll have to message it to you, and you'll have to look it up. But my ancestors were pioneers and knew Sacagawea and everything. So yeah. So I looked up all of that. So yeah, basically I think that's where I get it from, is because we were and not so far into my ancestry either. I have Indian in my in blood too. So it's
Yeah.
definitely in my in my genes and stuff too. So I think it probably makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it would make sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Kerri, thank you. That was a fascinating conversation.
I tell you, it was a lot. When you contacted me, I'm like, oh boy, she's gonna be in for it. Yeah, because it's a lot. And I've done a lot. Yeah, there's more stories there too. So
yeah.
It's but this is, I think, is a big one, something that
my son always says to me, Mom, do you want a star? So I'll give you a star.
I love those stars. I remember back in the day what they used to taste like. Those ones we used to lick at school. They had the glue on them. Yeah, I like those.
Yeah, so you get a star. You're very brave. And I don't even think it's a brave thing. It's not even that. You followed your heart and you're
Mhm.
doing what lights you up, and that's what every person should be doing. It's not just something you think about, it's something you do and you follow your dream because
Yes.
you're doing it. You're living it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Or
And you're
anybody can
right.
do that as long as you have the
Yeah.
knowledge. Like right now, with phones and the internet and all that stuff, all your knowledge is right there. You
Yeah.
don't have to look for it. You don't have to go to libraries. Nothing. And there's people. There's so many people out there that could help and mentor and say, well, just do this, this, and this. I'll teach you. I mean, it's not that difficult. You know.
Yeah. There are so many people wanting to do it, but there's that fear, well, what if it doesn't work? And you won't know until you do it. And when you're living it,
Yeah.
you realize it's not a thing, it's basic. Like you said,
It
yes, it's
is, but
work.
a lot of people is having that income. You need that income to be able to do this. So you need to be able to have a job. And if you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's hard to
Yeah.
find a job. There are people that the big thing is working online right now. So these people that
Yeah.
have jobs online,
Yeah.
they can do that because every single day there is better Wi-Fi technology. Right now I'm trying to figure out a good Wi-Fi because I've contacted Nomad. Um, they have seemed to be the one that might work out here. So I could have Wi-Fi out here, and then I could do stuff at home. I could do work on other things that I could do that I wanted to at home when I have a secure connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, because it's Starlink, you could get a satellite and do that, but it's like $600 for the package, and then a monthly thing, and that's just not something
That's
that
a
I want
lot.
to spend my money. No, yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. So I'm looking into other options to see if there's something cheaper that I would be able to use that would help with my connectivity.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I mean, here you are in the middle of nowhere and you're talking to someone across the world.
So that's good. I have to sit on my kitchen, but that's okay. I'm like sitting
It's okay.
on the counter in my kitchen right now because that's where I have my plug-in for my solar. So I had to plug you into my solar because my battery was getting low. So I'm like, okay, I'll just sit over
Yeah.
here on my kitchen counter instead.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I'm going to log off. Firstly, I just want to say thank you for joining me. Your story is fascinating. And yes, we're definitely going to catch up again. And to those of you who are watching, yeah, as you can see, this is an off-grid video. So thank you so much for watching. And if you want to get hold of Kerri, you can. And I will post her links below. And I hope to get her on again soon. And if you would like to hear anything about how she's doing something, or you'd like to maybe get a video, post it in the comments below, and I will make sure that I add it in there.